This time on Kawaii-Fi Radio, we record over Discord for the first time because I had to go get a COVID test. Don't worry, it came back negative today. So please forgive us the occasional audio distortions as we bring you our 11 picks for this coming season.
Ava launch!
Tetsuo! Kaneda!
It's over 9,000!
Nani?
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi.
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 Kawaii-Fi Radio!
Konnichiwa, and welcome to another episode of Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast we dive into the world of anime and manga every fortnight where we can, unless we all get locked up due to restrictions. I'm Kyle, and joining me are my co-hosts Kiralee and Kenny on the remote connection. How's everyone doing?
Great. Hello.
I speak to you from a degree distance. Technology. Hey all, how's it going?
Very good, mate. Now, Kiralee, you're also joining us from home as well. I think this is the first time we've actually managed to get a proper podcast recording session going properly. But this episode is our first of our new format where things are a bit more tightened up, and that means we're getting straight stuck into it. So this episode, we are talking about the new anime season, which is the winter 2021 season. And there's not as many anime as you would have expected, but I think that's good because we've had a lot in the past, 6 months to catch up on.
To be fair, there is a fair pile of sequels, just continuing from the last season, so
Yeah.
it's, still a nicely packed season.
If you are enjoying the podcast, you've joined us recently, hit that subscribe button and enjoy the Kawaii-Fi community. We're also releasing monthly anime videos on YouTube as well, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you go head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. You'll find all the details in the episode's description, but first, we need to talk about what we've been watching.
I have no idea how old I am or where I came from.
Nani? Ohio.
Hang time! I gotta go!
I have to know. Hooray! I did the thing.
Oni-chan, nani wo miru?
What we're watching.
And it's certainly been a interesting couple of months of content for us to watch, but we're going to go and start straight out of the gates over with you, Kenny, because you've been watching what most people have been watching, I believe, and that would be Demon Slayer.
Yes, between Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan crashing Crunchyroll servers, I think it kind of speaks to the popularity of it.
It definitely does. So, what have you been enjoying about this season?
I'm not sure you can really say that it's different from the rest, but it is just continuing with the story in the entertainment district arc. And the team have come up against a fantastic new villain that is just feels monstrously overpowered. But it also gives you some revelations of the power of the crew as well, especially the images of Nezuko that have been floating around lately.
Yeah. Kiralee, have you been following along?
No, I haven't. I've watched the first, but I've not continued watching it. I think I might wait until it all comes out and then just binge it.
Yeah.
I kind of use that idea. That actually sounds much better than waiting through all of these grand cliffhangers at the end of each episode.
Yeah, and I can imagine as well, because Kiralee, you didn't get a chance to see the film, did you?
No, I didn't.
Which is fantastic, because that means you can just watch the series and then, because that covers the film now, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. So it works well for me.
Now, you've been watching something a bit different, which we didn't really talk about too much last year, but it's turned out to be quite a popular little series. It's called The Case File of Jeweler Richard. What's this about?
So it's about the jeweler Richard, but I can't remember his name, like the main character. He basically stumbles upon Richard and sort of gets really interested in gems because he had a gem that was given to him from his grandmother, and he wanted to find the origins of that. And it turns out that it was stolen, and there's a story behind that. And so he ends up working with Richard. And so he has people come in with different jewels or wanting different things from him. And every person seems to have a problem or an issue, and they seem to fix that. which is really strange from like the
So
title.
is it sort of like a fixer-upper sort of odd job sort of series?
Yeah, pretty much. It's very like heartfelt and a little bit emotional as well, especially around the ending, like the last couple of episodes. I may have shed a tear, but it was really lovely series. Easy watching.
I think I actually remember us talking about this series a few seasons ago now. It was sort of like the sort of Sherlock archetype of the season.
Yeah.
It sounded good, but I don't think I actually watched that at all, and I feel very terrible about that now.
I think at the time there wasn't a dedicated streaming service for it because it was the beginning of 2020, so it was in the middle of that heavy COVID hit. So I think because of that, a lot of stuff kind of got missed. But it's really good. It's based on a novel, it turns out. So drama, mystery, slice of life, and definitely definitely one I think we might have to go back and have a look at. I thought it had a bit of, I guess, Shonen Ai-esque feel to it, so a little bit of a BL feel to it. Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit at the start, but by the end of it, there's not really anything there because he kind of has a love interest with someone else.
Fair enough. All right. Well, look, definitely one that's worth checking out of the back catalogue by the sounds of it. Now, Aaron couldn't join us this week because he is working his little tush off on many things. And he's been watching something that we've kind of been sitting on, which is called Ranking of Kings. And he sent through a little bit of an audio grab to explain why he's ended up watching it.
What I've been watching recently is Ranking of Kings. If you like Studio Ghibli, if you like Astro Boy, it's very much got that aesthetic to it. It's about a mute prince who is the descendant of two great giants, but he himself is no bigger than a toddler. He also has no strength. He can't speak, he can't hear, he can't do anything, but the public also perceives him as a fool. But he is anything but that. He has a big heart, he is very kind, and he himself wants to be the greatest king to follow in his father's footsteps. However, there are forces going on in the background that have other plans. He unfortunately doesn't get to be king once his father passes, which happens immediately. And it's a great time. I sat down and watched this with my own son over Christmas. He's not much of an anime fan, but he got immediately into it. So if you like that sort of retro vibe and you're looking for a fun twist on a new story, I'd strongly recommend this one.
Yeah, Ranking of Kings. We've seen it quite popular on My Anime List and Anime News Network and so on those sorts of sites. So it's definitely doing the rounds. I remember we kind of were like, we'll just wait and see with this one. I think you and I were talking about it, Kenny. We're like, I'm not sure if this is going to be good, but it certainly seems to have kind of really grabbed a very core crowd to it.
Yeah. And as Aaron seemed to say, it appeals to multiple kinds of audiences, so could definitely be worth returning to.
Yeah, sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's got 14 episodes out at the moment. It's got a 23-episode run. It came from a digital manga. And I think it's available on Crunchyroll and Funimation around the world, so definitely worth checking out. Very, as Aaron says, has got that bit of a Studio Ghibli vibe. The art style is very old school, which I kind of like the look of, so I'm definitely going to be giving it a bit of a look soon as well. But that does mark the point where we have to turn to something a little bit different, which is what I've been watching, because I've been watching a live-action adaptation of a manga. And it's called Alice in Borderland. Netflix adapted this about 18 months ago, and I put off watching it because, as you know, not necessarily a big fan of the live-action series. And I gotta be honest, they've done a really good job of it.
I have actually heard this one is very much very good quality. It seems to have an entire cult following now.
And it seems the manga adaptation has come across very accurately. There are things, as with all adaptations, that they've removed. But I think the second season is due end of this year, which I think this is probably the first time with a live action adaptation I've been like, oh yeah, I can't wait for the second season.
That is very high praise.
Has anyone else actually watched it?
No, but I'm getting very much into like the K-dramas, so it seems like right up my alley to go and watch this.
It's very it's a classic Death Game series, so definitely if you like sort of like Death Note, imagine it's Death Note, but instead of trying to kill people, he's trying to save people.
Oh.
So that's kind of the way I'd explain it. It's a massive sort of like, it's not an isekai, but it sort of is. It's like a parallel world sort of story where they're in an empty version of Tokyo, and whoever's running this world puts people through games, and you get a certain amount of days on your visa, if you will, which is why they started calling this place a country of its own. And if you don't participate in any of those games during that time, you get let go, and by that I mean you cease to exist. So
that these games have like entirely deadly consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I've seen the preview for this. I think I've seen like little snippets. It does look really good.
Yeah, so both Emma and I watched it. Emma started watching it, and I just couldn't stop looking away, so I ended up joining her watching it. But that's over on Netflix worldwide, so definitely worth checking out. So I guess those are the kind of the four from this week that we're saying are probably worth a check out. Demon Slayer Entertainment Arc, obviously. Case File of Jeweler Richard, if you're looking for some sort of interesting sort of mystery solving adventures. Ranking of Kings, if you're looking for something a bit more, I guess you could say, out of left field on its art style, and Alice in Borderland, if you really want to try a live action adaptation if you haven't seen it yet. Let us know what you've been watching this fortnight, whether that's something old or something new, and leave it in the comment section over on social media or over on YouTube. But that does mean we need to talk about what's actually airing this year in the winter anime season.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
That's a lot of anime.
Oh god, there's so many. Winter anime.
Yes.
Hey, I remember that, Sting.
I was going to say, we make the same joke every year, but yes, it's cold somewhere, but not here.
Yeah, I think it got like 50 degrees Celsius in some of the northern towns.
Yeah, it got a bit ridiculous. Thankfully, it's only 25 degrees Celsius today here in Perth, which is quite nice. However, the reason we are recording, I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but the reason we're recording is that we've been quite lucky here in WA, where we haven't had a great deal of problems with coronavirus. They've managed to mostly keep it out. But it does appear the new Omicron variant is coming through, and that made us go, let's err on the safe side and do this over digital this week until we see what happens. But because of that, that means that we've had, I guess, an extra hour each to watch stuff. I joke. No one has had time. So let's start off with the one that everyone's going to be talking about this year, and that's Attack on Titan, the final season, part 2, but definitely not the end.
It's almost like Evangelion at this point.
It is feeling a little bit like that. So if you haven't been playing catch up on Attack on Titan, they announced last year the final season, which was going to be, I think, about 16 episodes. And everyone kind of who'd read the manga went, that's not really enough to cover this off. And by the sounds of it, this second part is not enough to cover it either, because the studio behind it at the moment, MAPPA, have announced a film project that's apparently adapting the last 8 chapters of the manga. I'll need to verify that is definitely going ahead, and they haven't changed their mind since that announcement about 2 months ago. But it's the big finale, if you will. So don't expect the ending in this 12-episode run, if that ends up being what it is. But we're going to be pretty close to it, I think, by the sounds of it.
At some point, you're going to need like a flow chart to keep up with what's exactly which ending is going. It really is Evangelion at this point.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not even like Neon Genesis. What's Aaron's favorite game? Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, yes.
We're constantly getting different variants and ending points. But look, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how people react to the ending of it. I think I'm the only one out the 3 of us that's read the manga. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
I started and got like a fair way through, but yeah, I'm definitely not at the end.
Yeah, so I was reading along as it was coming out, and I can let you know the ending is not going to be to everyone's happiness. I thought the ending was fairly well suited considering the events that had happened, but a lot of people didn't like it, and I expect we're going to see that in the next few months as well, where people are going to be very displeased with several events that occur in these this coming season of it. But let's move on to something that's a little bit out of left field. And Ken, this was one of your picks for this season, and it's Sabiko Bisco, which is just awesome.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for this. Like, I had no expectations going in, and I don't know if I have any expectations other than it's completely, utterly bonkers.
This is by a completely new studio as well.
Yeah, it's in the trailer. There is images of like a war hippopotamus being flipped by a giant crab, which the main characters ride on. Someone's throwing giant mushrooms. Everything's turning to rust, and there's explosions.
Does anyone hit the crab for massive critical damage in its weak spot?
I don't know. Maybe the hippo did. It's possible. This looks like probably one of the most original-looking animes I have seen in a good year.
So this is being done by a brand new studio simply called Oz, OZ, and the caliber of the staff involved is just out the wazoo. So the director worked on Steins Gate, Kill la Kill, most of the Fate series. The writer was on the scripting team for Cowboy Bebop, Durarara, Perfect Blue, Steam Boy, Natsume's Book of Friends, Bubblegum Crisis 2040. Sound directors from Dororo, God of High School, Listeners. Basically, people are calling them UFO Table 2.0. Because they're all people who've been involved in high-end, high-quality anime productions. And I'm not surprised because it gets even more. The assistant director, I'm just going to pull up the profile. So it's Mataga Daisuke, and he was on the key animator for Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Naruto, Code Geass, ReZero, Agami ga Kill, Kill la Kill, Gurren Lagann episode 13, Fate Zero, like, the list of the things he's involved in is mind-blowing. Ergo Proxy, Katana Gatari.
The original studio, like a completely new studio. This is a really like bombastic opening project for them. This could be very good things.
Gets better. Here's what the art director's done. Konosuba 1 and 2, Jobless Reincarnated, Log Horizon, Shoujo Shumatsu Ryoko, Ao-chan Can't Study. Man, there's a lot on this list. Some of it is actually not suitable for PG audiences, but a lot of it's very good, like content-wise, the shall we say, ecchi related content.
Fair enough.
It definitely looks like one to keep an eye out on. Now, I have managed to catch the first episode, and it lives up to the hype. I'm not going to lie. This is like, I've got other series that I'm really excited for this season, but this is my dark horse. This is the one that I wasn't expecting to be good, and I am 100% here for.
I'm intrigued to see where it'll go, but it's a lot of random.
Yeah, well, here's the synopsis. So, set in a future Japan where everything has rusted away and the rust wind threatens to wipe out humanity, the whole world has become a desert. The protagonist, Bisco Akaboshi, uses his bow and special mushrooms as a mushroom protector, a noble thief who causes chaos all across Japan. To save his dying master, Bisco goes on a journey to seek out a special healing mushroom called a Rust Eater. In Imahama, he meets Milo Neko Yanagi, his new partner, and heads out on a crazy adventure. The Iron Desert stands in the way, along with a town made from the remains of one of the weapons that destroyed civilization. It's going to be absolutely crazy.
Where do they get the crab?
It does mention there are crabs, and there is a crab on the cover. I thought Bisco was because, like a crab bisque, like a meal, but it's not. I'm not sure if it's his first name or I think Akaboshi means like born under a something sign or something like that. One of his names does, which they discussed in the first episode. But look, definitely worth checking out. It's on Crunchyroll and Funimation around the world at the moment. I think you can also get it on, Annie Plus, Bilibili, and Muse Asia as well. Apparently Netflix in some areas will have it along with Wakanim in Europe. So look, definitely worth checking out. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but if you like, say, I don't know, you reckon if you're a fan of Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill and Trigger style content, this will be right up your alley.
I'd say so, yeah.
Now, Kira Lee, you've given us an interesting one because this is a OVA series. Can you tell us a bit about Hakuoki?
I kind of saw it on the Crunchyroll list and it really caught my eye because it looked exactly like one of the PlayStation games that I have. So I took a look at it and it follows exactly the game. And so I'm really interested to see where it goes. You follow this girl and she's lost her father. And so she goes on the hunt to find her father. And it's from the olden days Japan, with samurais and all of that business.
All right.
So she goes into the city and she's trying to find her father, but then she gets caught up in this fight between these samurai and, well, they're kind of more like ninjas, I would say, and these demon creatures who almost are like vampires, I guess. And because she saw too much than she was supposed to, she gets captured and taken back to their headquarters. And then it sort of progresses from there. And in the game, it was a dating sim, so you get to sort of pick who you want to court in the ninja
In the Ninja Squad.
headquarters.
Choose your husband.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm really interested to see where it goes.
So this comes from, you are right, it's from a visual novel originally, so you might actually have the original game it's from. It's had a series come out in 2010 and subsequent stuff since then.
But yeah, I'm very interested to see where the OVA goes, just because it'll be set, so you won't be able, obviously, to pick who you want to go with. So I want to see what happens and how that story pans out.
At that point, do you figure, like, when an anime is made from one of those games, is it just the director of that anime picking their favorite coupling and saying, okay, we're just going to follow that storyline? So it's all just complete bias towards the director's own OTP.
I think you're right. I think they do tend to have their own pick towards what they like. And in this case, so I think this is, according to the listings I'm finding, it says it's a 3-episode OVA. But yeah, Hakuoka OVA, you can find that on Crunchyroll. It's been done by Studio Dean. Action, drama, history, Josei, samurai, supernatural are its listings at the moment. There's going to be 3 episodes according to this from its OVA format. Apparently the next one comes out in 12 days. So I'm not entirely sure what the go for it's going to be, but it'll be interesting to see. It's a 3-part length, so I wonder if that's meant to lead into the game. We need to move over to something a bit more fantastical, even more so, because this is Aaron's pick for the season, and it is a isekai based on a light novel. But surprisingly, even though it's an isekai, its name's not very long. It's actually quite short. It's just in the land of Leedale. And I'll let Aaron tell you guys about it.
The world of Leedale is a very comfy sort of VR MMO, Bofuri feel. It's about this girl who wakes up in an MMO. She used to play it a while ago, and you're not really given too much detail about her background. You do find out that she was an amazing player back in the day, and there's still rumors floating around about her, and she's sort of coming into the game to find out what she missed out on and what's going on, and why nobody else seems to be around. And so it's a very chill, sort of relaxed VR MMO. If you like Sword Art Online, this is the polar opposite of it. It's, like I said, Bofuri almost, maybe more like Kuma 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 Bear. So if you like those sort of things, you'd probably like In the World of Leedale.
Now, this comes up saying that the story is apparently due to a terrible accident. Kei Nakagami is forced to live on life support in order to survive, and her only way to be free is to go within the VR MMORPG Leedale. So one day her life support stops functioning and she dies, but wakes up inside the world of Leedale 200 years in its future.
Ooh,
so,
I reckon
yeah.
It's spoilerific.
This is the official Crunchyroll listing, and this all happens in the first episode. So
yeah, but
yeah.
I don't trust Crunchyroll's decisions. Sometimes use or exile.
Fair. But yeah, it says that she's now a half-elf who possesses lost skills and OP statuses, becomes closer to the other inhabitants of this world. But among these inhabitants happen to be the children she made in character creation mode. So it's apparently a very chill adventure filled with laughter and tears about a girl who transferred into a game world. So as Aaron says, a lot like Bofuri, but by the sounds of it, a bit darker at the start. This is being done by Maho Film, who we've seen do quite a few things in the past. It's an adventure comedy fantasies, 2 episodes out already. Maho did By the Grace of the Gods, I'm Standing on a Million Lives, and unfortunately, they also did If It's for My Daughter, I'd Defeat the Demon Lord, which, yeah. If you're wondering why we're unimpressed by that anime, you need only look online and find out how that that manga series ends. There's a reason it hasn't been given a second season. It's a bit uncomfortable, to say the least. But yes, that's in the land of Leedale, and it's one of there's been quite a few isekais this season, but that brings us on to the next one, which is How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom Part 2. Now, this one, I was a massive fan of for the first season, and that was just last year. Unfortunately, the opening music and opening theme hasn't improved drastically. The old one was really bad, and this one's not much better. But the content is great. So this is based on a light novel, as you'd expect with a title that long, and it's basically following the adventures of Soma Kazuya, and he's been summoned to a fantasy world and basically ended up becoming the king of said kingdom. Kenny, did you end up watching this at all?
I thought the first 3 episodes of it was intelligent. Like, it had good ideas about what it was doing content-wise. But I just sort of found the main character a bit, he was very quick to accept that he was in another world. And I think it's almost to the point where isekais are becoming almost self-aware. It's like, okay, yeah, this might as well happen. Let's just get into it. And I don't know if I liked that too much. I felt a bit rushed.
I think because it's been a while since I watched the first episode, and that opening sequence of him being teleported, you are right, he was quite accepting of where he was, but I think it did a very poor job of explaining the passage of time of his acceptance and understanding of everything. But I think you are right. They are a bit self-aware now. They're like, oh, I've been isekai'd. Oh no, there was no truck involved. What happened?
Yeah, I think it might just sort of be spelling the peak of isekai is that we can't really make the characters' interaction reasonable, almost. Or it's not that they can't, it's that they're simply not trying to.
Yeah.
I've sort of jumped off of the isekai band,
I don't blame you. There's so much of it.
Exactly.
But look, Realist Heroes on Funimation worldwide, and if you watch the first season, I've watched the first episode of season 2, and it's pretty much a continuation of form. So if you did enjoy it, it's kind of, I guess the easiest way to explain it is it's similar to Reincarnated as a Slime, but more of a focus on the world building and less on combat. So it's definitely worth checking out. Now we need to head to the realm of Shonen Ai, a bit of boy love. And this is Emma's pick for this season, which is Sasaki to Miyano. And I think a few of us have seen the trailer to this and went, this actually looks really well done. Kenny, I think you've seen the trailer for this, and I think, Kira Lee, you may have seen this as well. Sasaki to Miyano.
I don't think I have seen the trailer, but it sounds right up my alley with BL, so please enlighten me.
Okay. Well, it all started with a typical old-school boys' love plotline. Bad boy senior meets adorably awkward underclassmen, one of them falls in love, and so on and so forth. But although Miyano is a self-proclaimed boys' love expert, he hasn't quite realized he's in one himself, which means it's up to Sasaki to make sure their story has a happily ever after. Apparently, both of the boys in this series read BL comics. One of them's aware that they're in a BL situation, and the other is not.
Oh my goodness.
It's an isekai. The guy's died and he's been reincarnated as a boy love protagonist.
But yeah, this one's by Studio Dean, so you know it won't be bad quality per se. Studio Dean does tend to do fairly consistent quality. They're not going to blow your socks off like UFO Table, but this is listed as a Shonen Ai slice of life school series. Funnily enough, doesn't have the romance tag, and I do wonder if that's just a case that BL series don't get listed as romance.
Wait, what? That's weird.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up Given because I'm pretty sure Given is the same. It wasn't listed as a romance. It was listed as a music and Shonen Ai series instead.
It's a bloody romance.
Oh, no, they have added romance to the genre. That's good. So, okay, maybe this one is going to be a bit more slice of lifey and stakes are going to be very low. I wonder if it's going to be a comedy. Sounds like a comedy considering.
That's weird to me. Like, it seems to be very much showing itself to be a romance. So maybe that's just an error on...
It could be just like, because this is the thing as well, like the official listings tend to take a little while to get updated. And this is something that we were discussing when we were doing the awards, that some stuff that should have been in the mystery genre wasn't, like Shadow's House, for instance. But others that shouldn't have been were, because that's what the official listing by the studio is and not the community listing. And that made it a bit difficult. So that's something else we'll address later on. But this brings us to the halfway point in this. And we're going to head to romance, straight to romance, because both Kira Lee and I have picked this one out. And this is My Dress Up Darling. Now, I've been reading the manga of this since it was announced that it was getting an anime adaptation. And yeah, it's a little fan servicey, but other than that, this is fantastic. Kira Lee, have you caught any of the episodes yet?
Yeah, so I've watched the first episode, and I'm already in love with it. I mean, like, the whole main character, you know, her secret hobby is cosplay. You know, that's definitely pulls on my heartstrings. So I just love it already. Just love it.
So the series, I'll give the synopsis, which is Wakana Gojo is a high school boy who wants to become a kashirashi, a master craftsman who makes traditional Japanese hina dolls. Though he's gung-ho about the craft, he knows nothing about the latest trends and has a hard time fitting in with his classmates. The popular kids, especially one girl, Marin Kitagawa, seem like they live in a completely different world. And that all changes one day when she shares an unexpected secret with him and the completely different worlds collide. This happens in episode 1. Basically, he ends up using the school's sewing room to sew stuff because their sewing machine at the shop breaks. And then she sees that he can sew and she's like, can you make me an outfit?
And then she proceeds to take off her clothes. And it's like, oh, okay.
It's ecky, but it's not to the point of obtuse levels, I'd say. Like, I'm pretty sure, I'll double check what the official rating is for this, because I'm pretty sure it was PG. Yeah, it's PG-13. So it is still kind of like listed there as like a parental guidance thing, but it's really overall the story is about self-acceptance, like, you know, being willing to be proud of what you love. And that becomes a theme throughout the manga, which has just been so adorable the whole way through. The artwork for the anime is very, very close to the original from the manga. So I've got really high hopes for this one.
That sounds like a really decent kind of positive message in an anime.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's really good about it. And it's nice to see like a series that is promoting, embracing your interests and your love, instead of, you know, we see the typical ones where it's the otaku kid who gets a power complex because everyone treats him like he's rubbish. So it's I'm going to be honest, like, this is the one that I was looking forward to this season. So this, along with Sabiko Bisco, and the one I'll be finishing us off with, which is the third season of yet another series that's romance that I love. What a surprise. My Dress Up Darling, or Sono Bisque Doll wa Koi wo Suru. It's done by Cloverworks. It's one of 2 they're doing this season. That being said, Cloverworks had a lot of trouble last year. We remember the first quarter of the year, they had 3 series and really struggled. This year, they've got 7 different series they're doing, thankfully spread out throughout the year. So hopefully they've managed to solve the issues they had when they were doing Wonder Egg Priority and so on. But I guess we'll see in the coming weeks. So Romance, School, Sign In, Slice of Life, can watch it on Crunchyroll and Funimation. And I'll just check. I'm pretty sure if it's on Funimation, yep, Amazon Prime Japan, Bilibili, and Wakanim if you're in Europe. That brings us to Aaron's other choice. And this one won't necessarily be for everyone. It's definitely for a young shonen style show. So if you enjoyed like Digimon and stuff like that, this will definitely be up your alley. It's called Orient, and it looks beautiful. It really does. But here is what Aaron had to say explaining why he's picked this for this season.
So Kyle wanted me to send in a bit of audio regarding my 2 anime choices for this season. And the first one is Orient, which is about these 2 Bushido brothers who are like samurai almost, in a world where Oni or demons are revered as great lords and the amazing leaders that saved us all. And Bushido or the samurai are these villains that tried to kill them. Or at least that's the way that they've spun the story, so that children grow up to worship the Oni. But episode 1 changes that pretty quickly. The 2 main characters have an amazing friendship, and it's almost like the 2 main characters from Skate the Infinite. If you enjoy your shonens with a good bro mentality and that sort of almost feudal feel to it, absolutely go for it. There are motorcycles powered by crystals, so it does get a bit zany.
As you can tell, I have that audio out of order, unfortunately. But yeah,
there.
Motorcycles powered by crystals. Samurais on motorcycles. I'm getting flashbacks to Yu-Gi-Oh! Card games on motorcycles.
Oh, right. That.
Yeah.
Magitech is done right, if it's done sort of elegantly and not too over the top, can be a really cool thing for a setting.
Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. It's not. I was talking with Aaron that the younger shonen stuff doesn't typically end up being my cup of tea. I don't end up staying invested in it. But that's why all of us have different sort of tastes and interests. And I think if that's your sort of jam, you're probably going to really like this. It looks pretty fun. The synopsis, it's from a manga. Unidentified creatures known as Kishin suddenly appear in Japan, and all the other most famous military leaders were killed in battle, and the end of the world seemed close at hand. 150 years on, the demons still rule the world, and only the band of Bushi continues to fight for freedom. It's on Crunchyroll, and Studio ACGT, who I didn't know very well, but they did the original Kino's Journey, Initial D, Freezing, Koikaze. I'm just having a look through the list. I'm sitting here going, I haven't watched most of this. So my apologies for those who are a fan of ACGT. But it's going to be airing, I think it was every Thursday night, I think. And 3rd episode comes out this week. So if it is your jam, go check it out. That's on Crunchyroll worldwide. Now, let's take a hard left from that and let's talk about Assassins. Now, this is not an isekai, unlike last season's Assassin series, which had a fiendishly long name. This one was, again, Kenny, you've picked the Assassin series. So this is Love to Kill. 2 assassins face off at a certain workplace, the cool bounty hunter Chateau and the mysterious, powerful Ryang Ha.
Well, from what I could see from the trailer, I was going to watch it tonight. The assassin that she's chasing seems to almost be sort of like a Dr. Lecter kind of figure. He's this kind of dark, creepy, just imposing kind of guy. And the bounty hunter herself, she seems to be very, very new to the profession. And the guy is taking an interest in her. It's like, I could kill you, but I'd rather know more about you.
Yeah, it says here that they develop a cooperative partnership of sorts.
Seems to be. From what I saw in the trailer, there are certainly other players coming after him and her at various points, and they seem to be helping each other out. But I think it's how can I put it? There was a series called The Blacklist, I think, with what's his name? He was Ultron.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. But I did watch it, and it's the same thing where they have like a begrudging cooperative relationship, but they both don't trust one another.
Yeah, like one of them is very much on the side of the law, and he is entirely not. But they do have something of a working relationship, and perhaps more.
I was going to say, this one might be quite interesting because it's actually one of the few Josei series this year.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, action, Josei romance, Platinum Vision.
I kind of like Psychopaths, I guess. It seems like a really nice love story, though. Like, it kind of almost seems like like the fandom of the opera, with the Phantom and the main girl,
I do.
like the kind of arc.
Where you're coming from with that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been done by Platinum Vision. It looks like Crunchyroll have got it most places in the world. Bilibili as well for Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam, and ADN, Anime Digital Network for Europe. Based on a manga, as it turns out. Episode 2 comes out a couple of days after this episode comes out. And so far, it's on a 7.2 on my anime list after just one episode. So interesting to see how it's kind of panning out.
That's reasonable.
One of the most discussed ones is, I actually don't like this anime. It's like, you're no. Like, just don't say anything then, mate. If you don't like it, why are you starting a thread on it?
No, I think that's almost a ringing endorsement. It's like, you could say so many negative things about an anime. We could go on about certain ones that just really disappoint us. But this guy is like, the thing he can say is, I just don't really like it.
It's more I'm so used to seeing people kind of just being like, well, actually. But look, Love of Kill, which is Koroshi Ai, definitely worth checking out. Crunchyroll in most places. Now, this brings us to a slice of life, adorable school anime called Akibi's Sailor Uniform. Now, Emma has picked this one, and I believe, Kira Lee, you're also interested in this too?
Yeah, I've watched the first episode already.
Oh, do tell.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful artwork. Like, so beautiful. It started off pretty slow, but I think it's going to pick up a lot in the second episode. But it's just a really heartwarming story. Because she comes from a small town and she's going into the heart of Japan to attend a very high caliber school. And it was a school that her mum went to, and her mum's mum made her a sailor's uniform. And so her mum made her daughter, who we're following's sailor uniform. But it turns out that you no longer need to make your own uniform, that you can buy a uniform. And so she went on the first day dressed in her new sailor uniform, and she stuck out like a sore thumb. And so the principal had a chat with all of them, and she decided to make an exception and say that, you know what, you can wear that sailor uniform if you want to. I remember when I went to school and my mum made me my uniform, and, it really touched my heart. So now I'm going to let you wear that uniform. And so she was given that decision of being herself and wearing that uniform, or buying the school uniform and just sort of blending in. As the title sort of suggests, she went with the sailor uniform, and so now it's sort of following her school life, sort of sticking out like a sore thumb in the sailor uniform, and it's just done absolutely beautifully.
I was going to say, this is Cloverworks' other one this season, so the artwork will be beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Emma was interested in this because she's like, I wonder if they'll do like a Wonder Egg priority twist to it. She's actually a magical girl, as it turns out. No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like it is just slice of life.
I just want to bring up as well, in the first episode, her first day at school, there was an absolutely hilarious scene where she met her first schoolmate, first person she's met that's the same age as her as well. And this girl is sitting at a desk, clipping her toenails, and then sniffing the clipper. And then she comes up and introduces herself, and then she was horrified that the new girl saw her clipping her toenails, and she's like, oh, no, don't worry. I'm sure my feet smell too. And so she bends over and picks her own foot up and smells it. And so they started bonding over that. Really funny.
Okay. This sounds like a good time. It's just going to be silly. I'm assuming it doesn't kind of go too far out of reality from what you've seen. It's just kind of silly events happening during day-to-day events.
Yeah, I would say so.
Awesome. Well, look, Crunchyroll and Funimation, you can catch that on worldwide, along with Annie Plus, Bilibili, and Wakanim if you're in Europe. Amazon Prime Video Japan also seem to have it. So if you are watching in Japan, that might be an option for you. And that brings us to the last series we're going to talk about, and it is a sequel, and I am obsessed with it and have been for several years, and that's Teasing Master Takagi Season 3. Now, if you're not aware of Teasing Master Takagi, this is a series where Takagi teases the main character repeatedly. They're a cute pair who are, I guess, about 10 to 12 in high school in a rural town, and it's all been created by Yamamoto, who is a mangaka. And this is basically the story of Nishikata trying to get Takagi to lose to him in a competition, and it never works.
They're trying constantly to one-up each other, except that Takagi is the master. She always is one step ahead of him in all cases.
Yeah, and this is going to be on High Dive this year as well, which is a bit of a different one from everywhere else. So comedy, romance, school, shonen, slice of life. If you haven't seen it before, I highly recommend having a look at it. It's if you like a little bit of romance, a bit of comedy, this is kind of where the strong interest in like the teasing girl genre kind of so the mangas have been going for years, but this sort of teasing girl romance series idea started kind of with this, and everyone else like Nagatoro and
Nagatoro is like one of the big sort of like follow-up to it, I'd say.
Well, and short grey-haired girl as well. Uzaki-chan wants to hang out. They're all kind of got this idea and took their own twist on it, whereas this is kind of the OG. And the best thing about it is that you've got the original manga, which is still running, and then about 2 years into making it, he decided, let's see what their life is like 20 years in the future. And they're together and have a daughter. And so you've got this really cute...
Cool.
Yes, you got this really cute side story, and all the other girls... So there's a group of 3 girls who are a bit daggy in the series, who are their high school friends. They appear in the mature one, but they also then have their own spin-off series as well, where it's just them doing their silly stuff. Like, there's so many things that have been brought out with it. Apparently there's a movie in development as well, so after season 3 there's then a film. So I'm hoping the film is going to kind of come out and be like the finale, so the point where they realize we do like each other, and then go from there, because there hasn't been like a confession scene or anything like that in the manga. They're quite young, they're like 10 to 12, so it would feel a bit weird for that to happen. So I think that might have been why he went with the option of going, let's just show that they did get together later on and they have a daughter and all this. But that's being done by Shinai Animation. They did do season 1 and season 2. They also did those Snow White notes, 8 Son, Are You Kidding Me, and World Ends With You recently. There's a lot more on the list as well. They've done a lot of the Doraemon stuff. So definitely worth checking out. That's going to be High Dive Worldwide, along with, I think I mentioned Muse Asia and Bilibili. And that is, I guess you could say, 11 picks for this season that we think's worth checking out. So that's Attack on Titan Final Season, Sabaku Bisco, Hakuoki Demon of the Fleeting Blossoms, Lee Dale, Realist Hero Season 2, Sasaki Miyano, My Dress Up Darling, Orient, Love of Kill, Akebi Sailor Uniform, and Teasing Master Takagi Season 3. I'll have those all listed in the episode description as well. And that means we need to get stuck into some anime news before we wrap up.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Tonight on Anime Communique.
Great story, compelling and rich.
Nothing brings ratings up like a little controversy.
Oh yeah, and watch Demon Slayer too. Yeah.
If you wanna.
If you want. Now, it's been a while since we had an episode with the anime news in, because we had that break over Christmas and the awards. But we're just going to kind of cover the main ones that have come out in the main news, I guess, that's come out in the past 14 days. And firstly, Rent a Girlfriend is getting a second season, and it arrives in July. Now, long-time listeners will know that I watched this and then got into the manga, and I can let you know this season isn't going to change anything.
Yeah, I mean, terrible romance is your thing. But how was this anime received generally? I forgot.
Oh, really well.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty well received. Season 2 will be good. I'm pretty sure I have an idea of exactly what arc it's going to cover, and if it does, it's going to be a tearjerker. But the problem is that
I want them to get together.
well, I can let you know we're in, I think, 32 chapters worth of the current arc in the manga, and nothing's really changed. It was called The Girlfriend in Paradise, where everyone goes on a group trip to a resort, and the author has been milking it. It is so annoying. It's like, look, there are so many opportunities for you to solve this, but it's been constant fake outs for 30 odd chapters. So it's almost a year of faking out. And to be honest, I think if they did adapt that, get to the point where they adapt that arc, they're going to have to cut so much of it because so much of it is wasted time.
Oh, okay, right.
So I think it is literally a case of the author literally milking it and dragging it out for as long as possible. And it looks like we're going to get to the end of this arc and nothing's going to happen, and that will cause, in theory, the final arc. But they were saying that this was getting towards the final arc as well, so I don't believe them at all. But this is due to premiere in July, and this is one time where I'm hoping they actually do what they did with Promised Neverland 2, where they abridged the entire end of the series. Because it doesn't need to be as long as it's been made. It's literally just milking it for the sake of it. And I think we've gone past 100 chapters now, and it's like, this could have been resolved at chapter 80. Like, it honestly could have been.
I can get it when there's like those big dry spells of just padding and slow writing. Yeah, that's when you certainly need an editor for the visual format of anime or a movie or something like that.
Well, Horimiya did it really well. Like, I love Horimiya. I love the manga, but everyone knows that chapter 70 to 110 is the nuclear winter. It's winter at school and nothing happens. It's just lots of little side stories. And it feels like at that point the author had lost their direction and what they were going to do. So they did a very good job of cutting through that for the anime adaptation to get you straight to the end in a really good way. And that's what I'm hoping we get for maybe season 3 of Rent a Girlfriend. I think this one, the plot point which is coming up, which is to do with Mizuhara's grandma, needs to be addressed and given the full weight that it deserves. But after that, everything else that's happened can be skipped. That's my my takeaway from it. However, Fire Force's manga is ending in a few chapters. Now, you might have caught NN no Shobo. Is that how I said it right? I think I've said it wrong. But this is the guy who created Soul Eater. And this is going to be his last work. So he has said it's Atsushi Okubo. And he revealed in his Dark Souls live stream on December 31, that's right, the artist and creator of this series sits on live stream and plays Dark Souls with fans. He announced that his Fire Force manga will end in a few chapters. He has 2 chapters left to draw, and the manga will end in about 2 volumes, which would be the 34th volume. It did enter its final arc in October last year, and he's hinted in author commentary that the manga was at its final stage, and he planned for Fire Force to be the final one. Now, I do know that Aaron's a big fan of this series. He quite enjoyed the 2 anime adaptations. I don't know if we've heard about a 3rd series for it yet.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard much about a 3rd season yet either. I've just heard that the manga has been consistently pretty good.
Yeah. So original series July 2019 and ran for 24 episodes. Season 2 July 2020 ran for 24 episodes. So hopefully that means July this year.
Maybe. Well, you get that now.
Maybe. But Crunchyroll streamed that series. Funimation now dubbed it as well. So it's, I think I did have some sort of, I guess you could say, reservations about the series and the way it treated one of its characters, particularly a young girl who was often put in sort of compromising positions. But the more I've seen of it, the more I just kind of go, that is just the shonen market at the moment. So it makes sense that that's how it's happening. I'm not happy with it, but the apparently it kind of just like with because Kira Lee, you remember you and I were talking about Maruko-chan, which was the creepy ghost one last season, and how it was pretty heavy on the fan service, and then it really it faked us out. Where episode 3 we thought no fan service, then it came back in episode 4, and then it really tapers off, and the story's really good. Apparently, this is a similar thing where about the first 6 volumes were pretty heavy on the fan service, but it tapers off.
Oh, okay.
Because the story becomes so good.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true because I haven't read it yet. I'll have to ask Aaron about that. But look, if you are a Fire Force manga reader or anime viewer, just be aware that the series is coming to an end and that it's at least not a cancellation or anything like that, which we've seen far too often as of late, like series getting cancelled that people are reading. Now, this brings us on to the final topic, and this relates to Teasing Master Takagi, which I mentioned a bit earlier. So Yamamoto is the creator of it. His full name is Soichiro Yamamoto. Now, Soichiro Yamamoto lives on a small island in Japan. It is the actual setting for Teasing Master Takagi. He's like kind of between Hiroshima and Osaka. There's a lot of islands in that sort of Bay Area, and he's on one of those islands. And that's where he sets all his manga. There's now 3 anime from him this year in a row. So we've got Teasing Master Takagi Season 3, which is airing this season and will likely go for 12 episodes. Following that is the spin-off series that he made for... It's a sort of young romance one called In the Heart of Kunoichi Tsubaki. And it's a female ninja village, if you will. And it's adorable.
I think I saw a little bit about this.
Really cute, very slice of life comedy focused. There are no male characters in the manga. Well, I say there are no male characters. No men show up. The idea of a man has been kept completely secret from these girls as part of the story. However, there are a couple of scenes where the instructors are meeting with men secretly, not in a sus way, but just as a, yes, how are the boys going at their camp sort of thing. And it's really funny and really adorable. There's a lot of the sort of classic gag characters. So you've got like the sassy one, and then you've got the... Look, one of the girls is really dumb, but it's the sort of character archetype that these went for with there. So you've got that coming out in April. So the moment Teasing Master Takagi ends, this starts up. And Teasing Master Takagi and Kunoichi Tsubaki have had crossover manga chapters as well, both with the older version and the younger version. In the Teasing Master Takagi Moto, which is where they're married and have a daughter, the daughter's watching the anime of this series. So little sort of nods like that. Now, the one that I'm most excited for is When Will Ayumu Make His Move? And this is the 3rd anime series. Now, just to clarify, all 3 of these are being written and running at the moment, along with 2 other. This gentleman has 5 anime series that he is running at once. Sorry, 5 manga series that he's running at once. They're prolific. And this one is going to be out in July, and this is based on shogi. And it's about a shogi club with the senpai, who is Yaotome, and Ayumu Tanaka is her kohai in the club. And it's a romance between those 2, along with a few other very fun little members of the club. And it's, once again, very akin to Teasing Master Takagi, but without the teasing and just more awkwardness between the 2 characters. And neither of them, they've both said that, well, he said, I'll confess to her once I beat her, and he's nowhere near it.
Shogi?
Yeah, shogi. So basically the Japanese version of chess with the pyramid style checkers, which you move forward and back. So you know how like they've got like the... I'm trying to think. Do you remember in Naruto with Shikamaru was playing a board game with his father and with his trainer, where it's
what is it called? Go chess or?
Well, Go's the black and white one, and Shoji's the one where they're small. I guess tombstone shaped little checkers with word written on them, a singular word.
I honestly thought it was a game invented for Naruto. Like a piece of wood in the background, but
no, shogi's massive. It goes back man, hundreds of years. But yeah, it's got a lot of similarities to chess. So the front line are all pawns, for instance. But then they've got like, the Silver Fern, the Rising, this like different styles of play that are known, which it's really quite fascinating. And if TZ Master Takagi's animation is anything to go on, and the way they handle that story, this will be just as good. I don't know who's adapting it. Oh, it's going to be Silverlink, so it will definitely be good because they handle this sort of stuff pretty well. But yeah, so that's coming out in July. So that's 9 months straight of his series, which I think is just going to be fantastic. And one last thing to mention from this came out on the 5th of January in this news, but we haven't really talked about it. Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Season 4 has been confirmed, and it's basically the whole group going into the dungeon for a big delve down deep. So that'll be good when we get around to it. I still haven't watched season 3 or the movie for that matter.
Yeah, we need to get around to that.
Is Shadow House coming out this year? Like the second season? Season
2 of Shadow House has been confirmed for July.
Oh.
So July is looking really busy because I believe we've got Rent a Girlfriend, Shadow's House, Shoji Senpai, and a few others already listed for that time. So I think it's going to be pretty packed mid-year. We've also... Oh, sorry, no. It's next season, which is going to be packed. Rising of Shield Hero Season 2, Kaguya-sama Lovers War Season 3, Spy X Family, Komi Can't Communicate Season 2, Ascendance of a Bookworm Part 3. The list goes on. There's a lot coming out next quarter. Demon Girls Next Door, April to June is going to be very busy. This is the season to catch up is basically what I'm getting at. Like there's 10 pretty strong series that, depending on your interests, you'll be able to comfortably watch. But that means you should have enough time if you're a avid anime watcher to delve into your back catalog if you want, because next season there's no time. Anyway, that will be where we wrap up this episode.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Yes, and thank you so much for listening up until this point. That is where we're going to leave things. Next time, we're going to see if we can catch the film Belle, because it's finally landed in cinemas here in Australia. Obviously, it's going to depend on whether or not we're allowed to go to the cinemas, because we're currently having a bit of a mini COVID Omicron outbreak here. So we'll see how that all goes and if it's safe to do so. If you have enjoyed what you've heard, hit that subscribe button and join us for future episodes. We have a YouTube edition of the podcast and dedicated videos on that channel, so go find the link in this episode's description if you'd like to join us over there.
We got a few technical difficulties, but overall it was a good episode. I think it's our first test on doing across Discord.
Yeah, I think it is. I think this is the first time we've been able to actually record on Discord. It's the first time we've tried properly. We had a trial run of it a couple of months back, and it didn't really work. Aside from, obviously, the occasional connection issues we're having, but that's Australia's internet's fault, so not much we can do about that. Now, if you would like to support the channel, we also have a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. We share extra content such as episode outtakes, video extras, and show updates. And if you can afford to support us, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you would like to join the Kawaii-Fi community, you can head over to our social media channels for breaking anime news, memes, and videos. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Discord. This is going to be interesting, trying to time the watch some anime bit, but you've been listening to Kawaii-Fi Radio. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, watch some anime.
Hey.
I will try and resync that in post. It is not good. But thank you very much, and we will see you next time.